So, business model canvas. You may have heard of business model canvas. It may be a concept that you've never heard of before. But if you're going to run a business, or if you're going to be involved in any kind of business in the future, a business model canvas is pretty much the world-renowned best way of getting that what's in here and what's in here onto paper or onto digital format. So what do we mean by what is a business model canvas? I'm going to take you through a whistle-stop tour of what that concept is and what it means. And it basically breaks down into these segments here: key partners, key activities, key resources, value proposition, customer relationships, channels, customer segments, revenue streams, and cost structure. But what does that actually mean? What we want to talk about when it comes to creating a business model canvas is for you as a business owner, an entrepreneur, a future business owner, is to find your sweet spot. So when we talk about the business, when we talk about the concept or the idea that you've got for your project, for what that thing is that you're going to do that's going to make you some money, the three things that you have to do is find out, is it desirable? Do people even want it? Then is it feasible? Does it work? And then is it viable? And then between all those three, finding your sweet spot is so important. So how do we do that? Well, here we are. Here's the canvas again. And here are those three areas. So is the idea that you've got feasible? Is it desirable? And is it viable? So to bring that concept to life for you, if we look at these subjects in these different areas, I want to think about a business that we all know and a business that can perhaps bring this to life for us. And that is, as an example that I'm going to use today, EasyJet. So if you think about EasyJet and you think about their feasibility, who are their key partners? Who do they have to work with? So it's airlines, it's people that provide the fuel, and what are their key activities? Well, providing short-haul flights really quickly, really easily, really accessible, and really at low cost. What are their key resources? Aeroplanes, fuel, insurance, staff training. Then you look at desirability. What's their value proposition? Well, we all know what EasyJet's value proposition is. It is giving us low-cost flights at very affordable prices, no frills, no fuss. Their relationship with the customer is all about how it translates into how do we buy from them, how quickly can we transact with them, who their customer segments are. Well, it's low-cost travelers, low-cost business travelers, students, people on a very low budget who aren't worried about a high-class flying experience. And what are the channels that they communicate with us through? TV, advertising, social media. Those are their ways. They understand and they know their business model. Their cost structure is their fuel, is their planes, is their insurance, is keeping their costs as low and as lean as possible. And their revenue streams, well, they make it through their flights and they make it through the key way of upselling. So how do we upsell? How do we get more out of what we can help with our customer? We're prepared to pay more for extra baggage, extra legroom. They really, in short, can put onto one page their business plan. And that's what this is all about. It's putting that idea, that concept that you've got onto one page. Now, in banking, over the many years, I've looked after many different types of businesses. And a few years back, we've all put together big, thick, chunky business plans about this thick. And we all know what happens with those business plans. When we maybe use them once to maybe get some finance or something like that, they go in the door, they go in the drawer, and they're great for gathering dust. However, if you want to have something that's dynamic, that's interchangeable, and you can use on a daily basis, the business model canvas is a great way of doing that. So if you want to have a look at those areas again, feasibility, who's our partners, what are we going to do, and what resources do we need, what's desirable, what are we actually selling, how do we do it, customer relationships, who are they? Another example to bring that to life is John Lewis versus maybe Poundland. We know the customer relationship is so important when we buy a product from John Lewis. Yet when we go into Poundland, it's just a transaction. We're going to buy something for a couple of pound and we're going to walk out again. We don't necessarily need a great customer experience. So thinking about what experience do we provide for our customers? How does that make our customers feel? What does that feel like for us? How do we interact with them through maybe our emails, through social media? If we get a complaint, how do we put that right? How do we make the customer feel? And then we think about our cost structure. How do we make money and how do we keep our costs as low as possible? And then how do we think about we making profit on the other end of that? Now, this screen here tells us all about what different areas a model canvas can be used for. And there's 6 on here that I'm using today, just to give you some examples to bring that to life. But why would we want to do that? So you can have several model canvases for your business. So number 1, we can think about improving and innovating. So if you're thinking about a new concept, a new idea in your business that you've never tried it before, you can look at a business model canvas to throw some of these ideas onto paper and to think about, okay, how are we going to do that? Secondly, strategizing for the future. How do we create a blueprint for this future idea, this future concept that we want to run? Thirdly, understanding our competition. Who would have thought about using a model canvas on our biggest competitors? What a great way and a great concept for us to think about, okay, how do they do that? How can I learn to do some of those things that they do really well, and how can I implement them in my business? It's not about pinching or stealing. It's about thinking about the areas that inspire us about other people, that make customers have a lovely experience there, that we could implement in our business. Fourthly, team alignment. We can use this with team members. So we can think about our teams. We can think about how do we create a great culture to work in for our businesses? How can we do that? How can we make people feel really welcome in our business? 5, we can think about having a portfolio of business model canvases to test different business models for our future. What works now? What doesn't work? What could work? How could we be flexible? How could we interchange? And lastly, new innovations. If we're thinking about maybe launching a new product, a new service within our organization, we can use the business model canvas structure to allow us to do that. And it's a really great way of thinking about our future, what works now, what could work in new concepts and new ideas. That is the business model canvas. I would encourage you to check out YouTube. There's some great videos on there, and have a look at strategizer.com. They were the great people that created this. And you can find some wonderful concepts there that you can apply not just to your business, to your future concepts, but where you might want to go in the future.